Welcome back. I'm glad you're still with us here on Morning at NTV. It's time for Take Note, where we shall be looking at improving Uganda's forest cover and focus on forests as the country joins the rest of the world to mark the World Environment Day today. I'll be introducing my guest very shortly, but let me first give you a preamble to our discussion. As a result of climate change, droughts are increasing in frequency and duration. At the same time, heavy rain and flooding are also becoming more common as climate becomes unpredictable. The hope to mitigate these impacts can lie in healthy land and forests, regulating the local climate and contributing to water management interventions. A few years ago, it was highlighted that the country registered a net forest cover gain from 9% in 2017 to 13% in 2020 since 1990. The discussion today looks at how progressive Uganda is on the journey against forest distortion as we brace and of course join the rest of the world to mark World Environment Day today. I'm joined on set by the Director, Plantation Development at the National Forestry Authority, Stuart Maniraguha. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
My pleasure to be here.
First and foremost, today is World Environment Day. There must be a lot that is going on. We shall be discussing that and where these particular celebrations will be. But coming on the backdrop of increasing challenges that are occasioned by climate change, we see the decline in forest cover across the country. What is the state of affairs?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question, and I want to thank NTV for giving me this opportunity.
You're most welcome.
To share this information. And I would like to thank all of the viewers who are out there. And I wish them a very good celebration, World Environment Day celebration. Also to indicate that, of course, as we celebrate this year, we have to make strong reflections and focus on the environment. And this clearly agitates every Ugandan, because you all know that Uganda is a rain-fed agriculture economy. And therefore, the rain that we receive is basically rain that we all know is made by the forests. So if we do not have the forests, then we shall not have the rain required for us to be able to have agriculture blossom.
That's right.
And in that sense, the forest cover has really suffered in this country. And from the time when we started doing land use and land cover mapping, from the 1990, as you ably said, this country was forested to a level of 24% of its land cover. And this was translating to about 4.9 million hectares. So as we move along the journey, after just 2 decades, by 2019, we realized that we had actually lost about 50% of our forest cover, from 24%.
50% of that 24%? Yes. Oh yes. My God.
From 24 to now about 12.4%. And it actually dwindled further when we moved down to about 2020, where we almost went down to about 8%. Now, there has been a lot of effort to raise the forest cover, given the background I have alluded to. And as we speak, we have moved now to about 13% increase. So we have registered a positive increase in the forest cover across the country. Okay. And this is basically attributed to a number of interventions. As we celebrate the World Environment Day, of course, this is a global event. And we are very much cognizant of the global warming and impacts of climate change. So while we go into that, we now have to focus ourselves as a country on how we can now build resilience and also be able to put in place both mitigation and adaptation measures for us to be able to attain the socio-economic transformation the country aspires to.
Needed.
Yes.
I'm sure you do have in place, as the National Forestry Authority, of course working under the aegis of the government, critical interventions that are needed, and you even have timeframes of achievement of those particular goals. But allow me first delve on the fact that the reclining forest cover across the country is responsible for a huge deal of much of the inability for communities, for example, to be resilient. If we were to put a cost to this kind of trajectory, what would the picture look like?
Well, the picture is not any good, but as you picked it up from the communities, I think there is a lot to do, not just to look at the communities per se. We try to interrogate and analyze where this forest cover is going to. Where is the forest cover going? Okay. So
what are these activities?
The activities. The biggest contributor to our forest loss is poor agricultural methods. So areas that were previously under woodland forests have been cut down for purposes of expansion of agriculture. And this has been analyzed properly. While we had 4.9 million hectares of forest in 1990, the land under agriculture was about 800 hectares, 800,000 hectares. The loss of the 1.2 million hectares has been seen to have been added onto the 800 to make a 2.2 million hectares under agriculture.
That's right.
So the focus of increasing the forest cover now has to focus interventions that involve agriculture. And this is where we are now coming in to say, can we do an integration of forestry and agriculture into what we call agroforestry systems?
Agroforestry systems,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. But of course, there are the pre-existing conditions of the African person, the usage of fuel, especially for cooking, away from the systems of agriculture that, of course, endeavor that the food comes on the table. The ability to cook this food is still down to the use of charcoal as fuel, and this involves the cutting of trees and the burning in order to come up with this particular fuel. How integrated are efforts to ensure that people still are able to maintain a livelihood by being able to provide the food that they need, but being non-destructive in nature in order to be able to get the charcoal they need to cook the food?
Yeah, now that's where the concept of sustainable use comes in. We are able to utilize the resource now and not compromise
future use.
The future use. So, and when we start introducing and drumming up for these interventions on land, then we are trying to say that while you are utilizing some of the wood for your domestic cooking, then you plant more, such that by the time you almost get to complete what would be mature, then the others are also coming up.
Okay.
And then we also look at the species. What tree species are people planting? The first maturing species that would be able to address this need. However, from the analysis done, the use of firewood actually has not been a major problem.
Okay.
The biggest problem has been a conversion of wood into charcoal because of poor charcoal production methods. Actually, when you go deeper to analyze charcoal production, you will feel so bad that statistically, for every trucker you see carrying charcoal, 9 of them have remained in the forest as waste.
Say that again.
For every 100 bags of charcoal you see
on a truck,
you know that 900 bags have remained in the forest as waste. So our recovery percentage in charcoal production is just a mere 10%. So we lose 90%. So, and now with the urban centers growing, which are now using charcoal. The villages rarely use charcoal. It is at limited use. But the urban centers, the towns, the cities that are consuming charcoal, now imagine the destruction they are causing. So we are saying, yes, charcoal should be utilized, but now working together with the government agencies and ministries, now we are trying to look at how we can be able to improve on charcoal production systems that would be able to increase the recovery percentage from the 10 to at least 40, 50.
At least 40 or 50.
So that we are able to save some trees for tomorrow.
All right. Yeah. In line with the global theme, that is for World Environment Day 2024, land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. On the part of restoration of entire forests that might have been encroached on, the other day we had reports that some people are changing the methods of deforestation, the cutting down trees and using chemicals, especially in Buikwe area of where the Mabira forest does filter into. This is also an emerging problem on its own. The methods used to occasion desertification upon our forests are detrimental not only to the environment itself, but directly to those who relate with the trees and all this cover. I know there are efforts to address that particular issue, but my main point is on the restoration of forests as entire packages. Can we, for example, say if 150 hectares of forest have been lost over 10 years, how possible is it to refill a forest, for example, with new trees?
Yes, it is one of the hardest jobs to do because the rate of removal is always faster than the rate of replenishment. And if you were to do land restoration, of course, you know trees are slow-growing living things.
That's right.
So you really need a period of about 3 years to be able to see an impact of restoration. 3 to 5 years to see an impact of restoration, which would actually have been as a result of a deforestation that has been done in possibly 1 month. 1 month? Yes.
So you destroy in 1 month, and restoration requires more than 3 years.
Yes, you need, and it's really an investment in terms of time and resources, which involve money. But while we look at the land restoration, of course we are cognizant of the fact that we have different land tenure systems in Uganda, and the government has been very critical in restoration in central forest reserves and other protected areas. But also, for us to be able now to achieve all of that, we are focusing on restoration outside protected areas. And that's where now every Ugandan is ready to come on board to participate in this. Because we cannot achieve the desired 24% of the forest cover as per our vision 2040 unless every Ugandan is brought on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We are fast running out of time, but I would love you to do a wrap by reminding us where the national events will be and what exactly to look forward to.
Well, the World Environment Day celebrations in Sironko district, and our theme, as you ably said it, is looking at the land restoration and how we can build community resilience to avert desertification.
All right.
So this is in Sironko district, the celebration takes today.
Sironko is in eastern Uganda, on the fringes of the Mount Elgon.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Stuart Maniraguha, Director, Plantation Development at the National Forestry Authority, for emboldening our understanding of ongoing efforts to restore much of the depleted forest cover across the country. Of course, for those that are heading for the national celebrations of the World Environment Day in Sironko, safe travels. But if you have within your powers to do anything that ensures that forests are protected or restored, please go ahead, including